Hey everyone, it's Dara. Thank you so much for joining me today. So welcome to the 10th video of my ESL video series, Motivation for the ESL Teacher and ESL Student. I thank you all so much for your support and for watching these videos because, again, this is something dear to my heart, which is teaching English as a second language, as well as motivation. And I truly, truly believe in the power of motivation, and it's something that I think that we need to have more of in the career and in the field of ESL teaching. So thank you again for watching. I greatly appreciate it. So this video is going to be a two-part. So for today's video, I want to talk about what it takes to be an effective English teacher. Now, although I'm going to be focusing more on ESL teaching English as a second language, I'm also going to discuss what it takes to be an effective ESL student in my next video. The tips and the suggestions I'm going to give in this video can be used for all teachers, whether you're a science teacher or a math teacher, whether you're teaching children as well as adults. But the purpose of this video is to focus on ESL teaching. So some of you may know my story already, that when I started teaching ESL, I did not have any formal training, nor have I went to school to study ESL or to become a teacher. My career goal was to become a geologist. Who would have thought? However, here we are today where I have gotten into a field that I absolutely love and care about, and ESL teaching has truly changed my life in a variety of ways. But this video is not about my journey. The point of this video is to talk about what it takes to be an effective teacher. One of the things that I've learned as a teacher is you want to make sure that you are confident in yourself. Now, confidence in self is really good for just life in general. You don't have to be a teacher to be confident in yourself, but confidence does go a long way. Now, when I say confidence, I don't mean you come in the classroom like, yeah, I'm a teacher, I know what I'm doing, and everyone should stop and listen to me. No. Being confident is just knowing yourself, knowing your abilities, feeling good about the skills and the knowledge that you have, and feeling confident enough to be able to share that with your students. The other thing I think is very important that ties into being confident or can help build your confidence is by being humble. Now, this is something that I've actually had people criticize me for because they feel like, hey, I'm teaching adults. I don't need to be humble. I'm here to just teach English. Who cares? But you know what? It actually does matter. I can't tell you how many times that students said that they like me as a teacher, not so much because of what I know, but because I'm humble. You want to come into the classroom, you want to be comfortable, you want to be relaxed, okay? You want to even look comfortable as well. Now, this will vary from place to place. If you are working in an environment where you have to dress professional, like suits or tie, that's perfectly fine. If you work in an environment where things are a little more casual, where you can in fact wear jeans and a nice business attire blouse or something like that, okay. However, one of the things I've learned earlier in my career is that you don't want to come in too blingy. And what I mean by that, this goes for men and women. You don't want to come with all your gold chains and all your diamond rings and things like that, because you don't know what people are going through in your classroom. And honestly, you don't have to care about that, but it does send a stronger message when you come in looking too over the top, and sometimes that in itself can be very distracting. So students might be more focusing on how wonderful you look, and if they're going through a difficult time, that might make them feel bad, and it might take away from the lesson. You might lose their attention in the process. Now again, this is a topic and this is something that can be debated. Some people feel like, hey, I can wear what I want. If you don't like it, don't look at me. That is true. But you also want to be considerate of who you're working with. I was working in a community where people were brand new to the United States. They didn't have jobs. They were struggling just to make ends meet. It would have looked a little strange if I came into their environment, because I was working in their community, acting like as if I'm so rich, overly made up. well, in a way like I am today, but this is strictly for the purpose of the video. This is not suggesting that you should look like this in your classroom. You don't want to make people feel bad, and some students will in fact feel bad because they're struggling and they look at you and think you're doing well. They may not be so much interested or may not feel confident to participate in class. Another thing that makes you an effective teacher is relatability. Now again, this is debatable because some people, even former colleagues, have looked at me and said, why do students need to relate to me? I have my life, they have their life, so what? Depends. Now, I'm not suggesting that you get personal with your students and you have to know their life story or they have to know your life story, but you want to have some form of relatability. Sometimes it's okay to let your hair down, so to speak, poof it out like I did. Sometimes it's okay to just make a mistake. If you make a mistake as a teacher, don't worry about it. Let your students know, yes, I made a mistake, and teachers are not perfect. We don't know everything. It's okay if maybe you're having a bad day and you tell your students, you know what, if they ask you how are you and you say, oh, I feel so-so. You don't have to tell them why, but students can relate to that because you're being human. You're not coming in like a robot and you're always like this. Hi everybody, I'm always happy all the time, look at me, yay! That's not the real world. And people look at me and they think, oh, I'm always happy because I'm smiling. I smile because smiling helps me to maintain. It helps me to feel good. But honestly, when I'm teaching in the ESL classroom, I naturally become happy because it's what I love to do. It's good that students can relate to you in some form or fashion, and don't be surprised if they ask you questions, maybe even personal questions about yourself. For example, they might ask you, are you married? And if you're not married and you feel comfortable saying that, say, okay, I'm not married. Again, it's up to you. Taking your time. Now, what I mean by this is taking your time with presenting the lesson, taking your time with explaining maybe a certain point that you are trying to get across, but also taking your time with students. Remember, everyone learns at a different pace, and you don't want to rush the process, and you don't want to be in slow-mo either. So I know this is where it gets a little difficult. It's like, okay, how do I find the balance? One thing you want to do is to keep everyone in sync, and one of the ways in doing that is by pairing students together, group activities, and encouraging them to work together, and encouraging them to do the homework, and encouraging them when they are participating in class. And the students that are not participating, encourage them to be a part of the class. These are little things that you can do that can get everyone together, but also it helps to make them feel a part, so to speak. It makes them feel more comfortable. It really also helps to keep things at a flow. I actually talked about this in a previous video about ways to encourage your students, or how to help students stay motivated while learning English. So do check out those two videos for more tips about that. The other thing that what makes you an effective teacher is by not being afraid. Now, you might say, what would I need to be afraid of? Let me tell you honestly, I don't care if you're a new teacher or an experienced teacher. Fear is fear. Sometimes the fear comes in whether it's your first time teaching or it's your first new class, or fear can come in when you're making a mistake, and this happened to me more times than I can count. I remember one time I was trying to teach present perfect tense, and this is a true story, and I had a board. The board was like, I don't know how to describe it, but it was like maybe this tall, and it was on some type of, oh gosh, I don't know how to say it, some type of stand, I guess. Anyway, it wasn't like your general whiteboard, so this was a board that you can actually pick up and take from classroom to classroom. I was trying to explain present perfect tense. I was a brand new teacher. It was my first year doing this. I had no idea how to explain it. I didn't have any help in explaining it. So I became so fearful and so nervous that when I went to turn around to pick up my marker and I turned this way towards the board, I literally crashed into the board, and everybody started laughing. The board went to the floor. My marker flew out my hand. You know, I'm looking in shock, and everyone started laughing. And the first thing I thought was, oh my gosh, what did I just do? I feel so stupid. How can I be so clumsy? But then you know what? I actually started laughing with them. And then I laughed a lot. And it seemed like the more I laughed, then they laughed. And it just became this big hurrah of just laughter, to the point where the students in the other class was like, what's going on over there? They thought we were having a party. You might say, I don't want that to happen to me. And of course, nobody wants to crash into a board. But the point I'm making is that it took the fear away, because you know what? The students understood at that moment just how nervous I was and how fearful I was, and I made a mistake, and a big one to boot, and I embarrassed myself, and it was okay, because we're human and we're going to embarrass ourselves at least one time in this life, so it's no problem. So having the ability to be fearless is very, very helpful when it comes to being a teacher. You want to let your students know that fear is going to be part of the process. And yes, there will be times you will feel embarrassed, but not to let that stop you from the learning process. And as a teacher, that shouldn't stop you from being an effective teacher to your students. Most of all, I think one thing that makes teachers good teachers, being friendly. Just be friendly. You know, you don't have to be a big people's person. I'm the exception to the rule. I am a big people's person. I love to hug. I love to talk to people. I love being around people. But if you're more of an introvert type of person where maybe you don't feel that comfortable being around a lot of people, that's fine. You don't have to hug your students. You don't have to be overly friendly, but smile. Smiling is not difficult. Smile sometimes. You don't have to always be so overly formal. And take time to get to know your students. Asking basic questions like, what kind of food do you like to eat? And let me just say as a tip, food is one of the best discussions, one of the best icebreakers of any classroom. You know why? Because who doesn't like to eat good food? So don't be afraid to be open. Don't be afraid to be friendly. Being friendly really makes a difference. It helps students to feel comfortable, and it helps you to feel comfortable as well. Because you know what? We're all in this together. It's a learning process for them, and it's a learning process for you as well. So thank you so much for watching today. I hope these tips have helped you or help you in your ESL classroom, or any classroom, or any tutoring that you do, whether it's with children or adults. And just remember that although you are a teacher, and yes, you are in an authoritative position, you're still a human being. Embrace that. Embrace yourself, and be confident in yourself, and know that you in fact can make a difference. Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you in part 2 of this video, which is how to be an effective ESL student.